Welcome to the Cash Flow Project Podcast. Are you looking to better your financial situation by increasing your cash flow? Too busy to hunt for real estate deals or don't know where to start? Then you're in the right spot. Join us as we dive in and talk about investing for cash flow using multifamily real estate.
Welcome to the Cash Flow Project. I'm your host, Vince Gethings with Tri-City Equity Group. And today we have Bernard Pierson on the show all the way from, is it Miami, right?
Yes.
All right, Miami, yep. So Bernard here has over 10 years of real estate experience. He specialized in ground up development and investing opportunities. He's led the development of over 100,000 usable square feet of single family homes and condos, in addition to land and infrastructure works. On the multifamily side, Bernard has been a general partner and asset manager in over 400 units and has participated as a limited partner in over 1,500 units across 20 deals. So we'd call that a career LP, which, as a lot of you know, is what my goal in life is to be a career LP. And it sounds like Bernard has kind of hit that. 20 LP positions is no joke. Furthermore, to top that all off, Bernard holds a master's degree in real estate from Georgetown, bachelor's in business administration from American University, and has earned a certificate of commercial real estate analysis and investment from MIT, and is active Urban Land Institute member. So definitely one of the highest educated people we've had on the show. So I'm going to hold them to the highest standard of anybody we've had. I'm just joking. So Bernard, welcome to the show, and let's get right into it. So tell us about yourself that wasn't in your bio there, and we'll get right down into it.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Vince. I'm very honored to be here and be invited to your podcast. So I'm originally from Nicaragua. I live in Miami right now. I was born here. My parents lived here when I was born because there was a war in my country in Nicaragua, and they were just here for a couple, fleeing the war. And when I was about 6, we moved back to Nicaragua. I grew up there. Moved back to the U.S. when I was 18. And kind of never really went back full time to Nicaragua, and I've been here in between Miami and different parts of the country, DC, Nicaragua, and Miami, ever since. So as you were saying, I started off my real career in development. Before that, I did buy a duplex as I was interested in investing. So my technically my first investment was a duplex here in Miami. That quickly became I quickly transitioned into development because I found a partner, and so I started developing in Nicaragua and Costa Rica. But most recently, I am just strictly multifamily owner, operator, investor, syndicator.
Great stuff. I love. So you're is that first generation then?
It is, yes. My parents were entrepreneurs as well, and they've always been in the furniture industry, office furniture and home furniture. But yes, I am first generation.
Nice.
Real estate.
So yeah, before we get into the real estate, I just had a question that popped in my head. So from first generation Americans, do you still think like the American dream is still like a thing? Is that still, or is that like long gone myth that, died 50 years ago or something like that with everything? So do you still think that's...
So I think that's a good question. And I have a very, very long answer to that, which I'm not going to give you because then I'm going to bore everyone to death. But I think in summary, I think it does exist. It's not as easy as before. Obviously, there's a lot more challenges. There's a lot different things going on now, right? But when you compare the U.S. to other countries of the world, or at least to its neighbors in Latin America, this is an amazing country. Like I've been exposed to other countries, like to Costa Rica, to Nicaragua, and other countries in Latin America. And sometimes we forget when we're here in the US how lucky we are to be here. This is really an amazing country. There's tons of opportunities, and I really believe in this country compared to our neighbors.
Awesome. It's good to hear. I always wondered, if it's because I think I'm third generation American, but it's like my grandparents were just like, they're just farmers. So they just grit, right? It's like You wake up at 3, 4 in the morning and you just grind it out and you carve something out for, yourself and your family. But it's interesting to see like how that's evolving, that the opportunity or how people perceive the opportunity of coming to America over time. But anyway, back on track. So your first deal was a duplex. How did that start? Like, what was that first deal like? Why even do real estate versus taking that capital and going starting another small business or something like that, like what your parents did? Like what drew you to the real estate route?
Right. So before I started investing in real estate, I've always been an entrepreneur. I worked a W-2 1 year out of my life, right out of college. After that, I went on my own. So my first job was accounting. I was an accountant for Georgetown University, and I was bored out of it was the most boring thing in my life. I graduated in 2007 from college, so I went right into a job I found, which was accounting. I didn't put much work into finding a job, and it was an easy job to land. So I just went into it, started working in accounting. I was bored, hated it. I had a great boss, great people working around me, but it just wasn't for me. It was very boring. So I quit, right? And I started doing different transactional ventures or businesses. I started trading coffee or beef, but it was very transactional, right? And I made some money. I mean, it went well. I did well. It just was the only issue is it was transactional, right? I didn't know if I was going to make money this year or not. I may make a lot of money this year, but I may make zero next year. So that, I guess, not having that steady cash flow is what drew my attention to real estate. And I started listening to podcasts and reading different books and just learning more about the industry. And I found out that, or started figuring out that with the real estate, I can generate more consistent cash flow, which is what I was looking for. And that's basically how I started.
Nice. So you got a partner, bought the first duplex, took it down, the bug got you, and then it's been off to the races since then, right? So from that duplex, let's just kind of go and figure out because a lot of people are like, okay, duplexes are easy, right? We can go on Zillow or Realtor and find 10 of them in my town, overpay for one right now, but either way, they're abundant, they're out there. So how do you make that? And to me, like in my mind, when I hear real estate investor, having a duplex doesn't okay, you got like a side thing going on, but it's like to be an investor, like you have to go solve real problems. Like you gotta so a lot of people hit that, that kind of roadblock, that first obstacle. Like, okay, what happens when you're trying to scale out a duplex, like that first commercial deal? Because it's a pretty big jump.
Right.
You're dealing with different, language with the lenders. You're dealing with different loans. You're dealing with different ways of underwriting. They're a lot more scarce when you go to the commercial route. So what was that kind of first obstacle you hit after the duplex, or maybe you bought a couple of the smaller ones when you went to that first multifamily? And what kind of obstacle did you hit and how did you overcome that?
So my journey, like everyone's, was a little bit unique, obviously. So from the duplex, I ended right away, 2 months after I bought the duplex, I met these guys from Colombia, and they were developers in both Colombia and Costa Rica, and they were interested in developing in Nicaragua. And for some reason, we ended up connecting. I used to go to Costa Rica often for work back then, and we ended up connecting. And they said, "Why don't we start developing in Nicaragua together?" And I was already in my head on the path to multifamily, right? But my thought process at the moment was I might as well go with these guys. They have experience, they know what they're doing. I'm not going to go at it on my own. So we partnered up. We started developing in Nicaragua. So I guess what I would say, the short answer to your question is it was networking. I met these guys through networking. I would go to lunch with them in Costa Rica whenever I would go. I would always call them up and maintain that connection, maintain that relationship. And they're great people. We talk to this day. We're not developing anymore. We just finished off our last project just because the country is not in the best position. But it's just networking. For me, that's what it was. So I went into development, and I guess your next question will be, and I'm answering it before you even asking it, how did I went or how did I go into multifamily?
Yep.
I had been investing as an LP for several years. Well, not several years, but when I started investing in real estate back in 2011 or so, I was investing as an LP as well, right? So that's when I did my first LP deal. So I built the relationship, again, back to the networking, with the sponsor on the LP side. And back in 2015, 2016, I was able to jump on to the first GP deal with them, with the same guys I was investing with as an LP.
Nice. And that is a great point, because I had that marked down as a topic conversation. So to kind of backtrack a little bit. So you were doing LP positions and you made the jump to be a GP. So for everybody listening, if you don't know what the difference is, a limited partner is somebody on a syndicated deal that doesn't really have any operational roles. They help put up the capital, the equity required to take down the deal. And that's pretty much all they're doing. After that, they're just sitting back, cashing checks. And the general partner is the one that's also named a sponsor, or however you want to syndicator, sponsor, general partner. They're all kind of the same thing, interchangeable. And the sponsor is one that finds the deal, negotiates the deal, gets it under contract, secures the lending, does all the hard work, builds a business plan, builds the CapEx. And just does everything, manages the asset once it's closed, does the reposition, and they're just the asset managers, and they get a cut of the pie for the work, the sweat equity that they're putting into the deal. So those are the two roles. You have the GP, general partners, that do the work. The LPs are passive investors. They help put up the capital, and they are passive after that. So making the jump from an LP to a GP is a pretty big jump, both like the commitment wise, the experience wise, and then also, like what I want to get to in the conversation is it the right jump for everybody? Because I talk to a lot of people that are LPs. Maybe they've done 1 or 2 or 3 deals, and they're like, I want to be a GP. That's like, they've like put this GP on a pedestal. Like that's the best thing, since sliced bread. And that's where the pinnacle of real estate is. And then you start asking them questions and they're like, hey, maybe a GP is not right for you right now because you're working 60 hours a week already, and you're a doctor or something like that, or you're a lawyer, you're traveling a lot, or you got other kind of personal stuff going on where you don't have the time to commit to that position. So what I want to ask for you is, how did you make that jump? I know you kind of explained a little bit. They invited you on, but I guess more personally, how did you make that jump? Like going from an LP to a GP, what was different? What kind of things did you learn making that jump? And was it right for you? And what are kind of some of your takes that you would advise somebody else if they're thinking about making the jump from an LP to a GP?
Right. So the way I made the jump from LP to GP was, as I was saying, I had invested with these guys, and then I kind of so what I did is I just asked, guys, what do is there anything what can I do for you to get on the GP side? Because I wanted to get on the GP side. And we started talking, and so a lot of people don't realize that these deals, before you close it, you need money to close, to get these deals closed, right? You need to get the earnest money. You need to put the lender deposit or
pay for inspections and legal.
Yeah, the inspections. Yeah. It takes a lot of money to get these things closed, and that's all that capital is at risk. It's not like you may lose it all. I mean, hopefully you don't, right? Hopefully you close on it, but if you don't close on it, you may lose all that money and never recover it. So I helped them raise those funds, the at-risk capital funds, for all the deals, right, that we were doing. And that's how I started getting involved. And then I'm in Miami, and there's good things and bad things about Miami. But one of the good things is there's money here. It's a big city. It's a metropolitan city, right? There's a big population, a lot of people from Latin America. It's a financial capital in a way of Latin America, or even it's a capital of Latin America, but it's also the financial capital in a way. It's and there's a lot of financial industry here. So a lot of people that are busy, but they're also looking to invest, right? They're looking for different opportunities and on what to do with their capital. And that was at the beginning, at least, that was my true value that I could bring to them is help them raise funds and help them bridge that equity to get to closing.
That's huge. There's going to be 2 points there that I'm going to hammer on. So the first is that you asked. A lot of people fail to just ask, right? Like ask their way to success. Like, how can I bring value to you? Yeah. Where are you guys lacking? And a lot of people just don't do that. And I think somebody posted it on social media somewhere that they got to where they are because they asked their way to success. Just how can I provide value? How can I provide value? And that's what they did. So, that is. Yes.
Sometimes we overcomplicate ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes, right. It's just, it's difficult, but it's simple. Right. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Just ask, right. Where you guys need. And then the second part is the value that you could provide. So, on the GP, there's different, on a general partnership or a sponsorship team, there's different roles that people fill. Somebody puts up the at-risk capital, like you were saying, and that's not a small amount, right? The EMD alone on a lot of these deals can easily be six figures. So at any point, especially once you get closer to closing, you could have, 150 to 300,000 or whatever in at-risk capital. That money needs to come from somewhere. So that could be what you bring to the table, and that's what you brought to the table. That was the role that you found. But then other people need deal finders. Like, okay, I got the capital, I got the asset management, but I don't have any boots on the ground that can go, hunt deals down in like Charleston or something like that. Like, who's meeting the brokers? Who's doing the lunches? Who's doing the tours? I need somebody to do that because I'm in Miami. I need somebody in Charleston, so I need a deal finder, right? That's somebody I need. You have the actual asset manager who has that kind of discipline and experience to actually execute a business plan and lead people and manage people and set up systems and processes. So there's these different roles in the teams that you, one, know about the different roles, and two, do like kind of a SWOT analysis on yourself and like, okay, what are my strengths and weaknesses? And I'm not very detail oriented, so I'm not going to be doing the legal review on the SEC work. That can be somebody else. But I have, a surplus in time, or I got a surplus in money, and I can fit these other two seats over here. So do a SWOT analysis on yourself, figure out what value, what are your strengths, and plug those into, the team roles, and then just start asking, like, hey, this is what I'm good at. This is what I can provide to the value to the team. And it's like you said, don't overcomplicate it. Like, it's pretty much that, right?
Yeah. That's great advice there, Vince.
Good stuff. Yeah. So let's move on. That's so you found yourself on a GP on the first deal, and then what happened?
So then I more deals started coming. They would always call me and do you want to bridge the equity for this one too, or you want to help us find the bridge equity for this one? I'll call it bridge equity. I don't know if that's the official term for it or not, right? But I'll call it that, and raise more funds. And then eventually, about a year into it, I started getting involved in the asset management because these guys got pretty busy too, right? We started growing, right? They were probably at over 2,000 units at that point, and they were busy. It's a lot of work doing asset management, and I offered to help because I could see that they were busy. I could see that they needed the help, and I wanted to learn more and get more involved. And again, I asked, do you guys need help with the asset management? I'll take on a couple properties. So I took on one property first and then another one. And at this point, I would say I'm the kind of like the lead asset manager on 3 of the properties. And now my value transitioned from not only being the capital guy, but also asset management.
Nice. And I'm sure the compensation swung in your favor too for that, for taking that responsibility. Yeah.
Right. Because sometimes the other thing is I was scared to ask about the asset management because I didn't really think I didn't really understand the value of it before. Right. Now I do, obviously. Now I understand how valuable it is, but I was probably insecure a little bit on how they would perceive my value as an asset manager. But I mean, so the way I got through that was they gave me a chance, and we started asset managing together at the beginning, and they realized that I was doing okay or good job on it, and they felt comfortable just delegating it off to me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now you're in it. Now you're in the sauce, and awesome.
Yeah.
400 plus deals later, or units later, crushing it. Okay. So now you're full on GP, and it's the end of 2021. How has 2021 so far? This is December now. We're recording this. So in December 2021, how has 21 been to you? And then this is also the next part of that question is, this is the time of year everybody starts formulating their game plan for the next year. So 2022. So what is those two things? How did you do in 2021? Kind of the highlights there, lessons learned, best practices, and what is on the horizon for 2022? What are you guys shifting? Where are you throwing the next target?
Right. So 2021 was a good year for me. I didn't buy a huge amount of units. We probably got, I want to say, another 100 units this year in total. But it was a good year because we developed great relationships. We have a lot of deal flow. We actually have a few deals under contract right now. So they're probably not going to close in 2021, right? But they happened in 2021. At least they were sourced in 2021, and it was a great year. I feel I've grown a lot. My business is growing a lot, and I started developing a lot of relationships being in Miami or growing my relationships more formally. Because before 2021, or before, let's call it before COVID, 2019, 2018, most of what capital I was raising, it was more friends and family. It was very, I would call someone up, are you interested? They will say yes, or that, whatever. It was very informal, or not system way, right? So I've done a lot of work this year into going to presentations here in Miami in Spanish, right? So I speak Spanish, and I guess that's one of my unique advantages, that I understand multifamily pretty well. I don't know everything about multifamily, but I understand the concept pretty well, and I speak Spanish. So there's not many people that have that skill, that have both sides of it, right? The understanding of multifamily and Spanish. So I've started talking at events and to different investors and whatnot in Spanish. And because here's the thing, a lot of these guys that, even if they live in Miami, they're originally from Latin America, and they may speak English, but they're not comfortable with it. So if you go and pitch them a deal in English, they're not going to understand it. They're just not going to feel comfortable, right? Just because they're going to be like the underdog, right? And they're not going to understand all the concepts you say, or all the words you say, and all the terms you throw out. So I've started finding out that educating people or just presenting multifamily in general in Spanish was a great thing. And now there's a lot of people reaching out to me on that want to get involved, from Latin America or even from Miami. And so what's next for me is building and really formalizing my sourcing capital from Latin America. There's a lot of people that want to get the capital out of Latin America. There's a lot of issues in different countries that are going on, political, whatever, the pandemic. Here in the US, we're pretty much back normal, right? In most states, at least. In Latin America, that's not the case, right? They're still struggling with it. They didn't have the government relief that we had here. They didn't. So there's a lot of things that the continent is struggling with. So there's a lot of motivation for these guys to get involved in the US, and I'm trying to help them with that.
Nice. So that goes back to, you nailed it early on. We're talking about competitive advantage. So you realized that you had a competitive advantage, and when you kind of did that internal SWOT analysis of like, what am I good at? What value can I bring? That you are bilingual, you do have relationships, you can connect with a huge population that a lot of other people can't connect with, because they just don't have that nuance of that understanding, like the backgrounds and different ways of thinking and that kind of world.
Yeah, there's culture things too. Yeah.
So and I can definitely see that as being a competitive advantage for you to help grow your business. So that is huge. And I think that's what I'll name this episode, is finding your competitive advantage. Because I think you really zeroed in on something. You kind of did that exercise, like, where can I bring value? How can I grow? Like, what do I have? And that is a huge thing that you offer. And I think you're actually going to crush it. Bringing those opportunities to people that, they like, it's all new to them. Like they just don't have it. All right. It's like, so that's going to be huge to do that.
So an important thing about Latin America or even the rest of the world is the multifamily concept as an asset class. It doesn't exist everywhere.
Yeah.
This is something strictly for, it's a US thing. In Latin America, you may see it in Mexico a little, you may see it in Chile a little, but the rest of the countries, you won't see it. It does not exist. It's not an asset class. It's different. They won't value it. Best cap rate does not exist. None of that. So even translating the terms is challenging, but that's, you find ways around it to be able to communicate it and explain it. Right?
Yeah. A lot of it's just education. That doesn't, that's pretty much just, when you're doing, raising capital or finding deals, a lot of it's just education to begin with. Before you get into anything else, is just laying out the foundation of what this thing is, what this asset class is, how it works, what the business plans are, and everything like that. So that is going to be huge. So how is that, how's that working out for you? Did you do a lot of trips back and forth, or? Not lately. I haven't traveled much to Latin America lately. I've been here in Miami, but so the thing with Miami is there's a lot of people from Latin America. They come here all the time. Okay. They come here for shopping. They come here for vacation. They come here for different reasons, right? They may, and historically what they've done is if they want to bring money to the US and be exposed to the economy of this country, what they do is they may buy a condo here in Miami, right? And in downtown, you can see behind me, there's a bunch of buildings. Those are all condos. There's tons of condos, and the buyers have historically been Latin Americans trying to take their money out of their country, having it as an investment, using it as a second home too, like a vacation kind of home thing. And it's not the best. It doesn't really work out as an investment. I mean, it'll preserve your capital. It'll be there. It'll work. But the HOA fees, the appreciation is just not there. So in Miami, whenever condo prices rise, you have a construction boom. That's trying to change, right? Because we're running out of space now. But historically, that's what's happened for the last 20 years. Every time prices go up in condos, construction boom comes up, everything goes back down. So even if you own it for 10 years, you're going to make a ton of money on a condo here. Yeah. And I think they're trying to realize that. And I think that's why they've been very receptive to what I've offering them, right? And explaining to them. Got it. So now that you know that, so you have kind of this competitive advantage of finding, equity that a lot of other people don't have access to. So you got that, that box checked. Now we're looking for markets. So are you investing in Miami? Doesn't sound like you're investing in Miami.
No, I'm not.
Where are your
and that's the first challenge with my investors because they think the US is, well, they understand that the US is big, but they think that, that they just know Miami, but they may know New York or some other major cities, but not a lot of the markets we like. So we are, I'm focusing lately in 2021, I started focusing in Oklahoma City and in Charleston. Those are the two markets I'm starting to like and under contract in and buying properties there in. And that's next. And what I offer my investors is access to these cities that for them sound remote or sound unreachable in a way. Right. And there's a lot of explained on why the demographics, the economy, and what's driving these cities and why they are so attractive to invest in, at least in my opinion. Right. And that's it. Yeah. That's what's next. We've built relationships in both cities with brokers and different parties, property managers, et cetera. And I do travel there often. I do travel to Oklahoma City and Charleston quite often to see the asset. I always like to see the asset before I buy it, I close it. You know, I try to see it even before we get under contract, but definitely see it as soon as we get under contract in person. So I do fly out there. And
that's a big thing, not just for you, but your investors too want to make sure that you seen this place like with your own eyes, because they're trusting in you that you're doing your due diligence. There's a big part of this is like, sure, they're investing in the deal, but really they're investing in you, right? Is this person, is Bernard trustworthy? Does he have integrity? Is he going to do his due diligence? So if
so as an LP, when I did my LP deals at the beginning, which I still do a few, at the beginning, I would probably, I would vet the sponsor more and kind of check out with the underwriting and kind of do my own underwriting and so on. But on the third deal, to be honest, I wouldn't even see. I would just invest like, oh yeah, you have a deal. Here you go. 50K, whatever, or 25K, because back then the minimums used to be more closer to 25K. Now they're tend to be more on the 50K side. But so after a few deals, I didn't even look at the deal on the LP side. I would just invest. Yeah. I was investing on the sponsor, as you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Invest in the sponsor. Not sound advice for new LPs. Look at the deal.
I'm not saying do that. I'm not saying do that, but I'm saying that's what I did. I'm not saying that's the best practice.
After you have that, maybe you have that, that rapport built up and that, that track record with a single sponsor, and that they're good. But definitely if you're new, vet the sponsor, vet the deal. All right, moving on. So you're in. And that's a big one too. So if you're in a market where it's just crazy town right now, like Miami, as far as prices, expand your aperture a little bit, go find the markets where deals still make sense. A lot of people are saying, like those OKC type markets, Kansas City, Midwest markets, Charleston's an awesome market as well. So you're definitely picking some good ones. So I think we're getting short on time here. So we're going to transition over to the fire round. So same questions we asked everybody, except for one. I think I might change one, but I'm going to shoot out the answer. So what is the best book you recommend other than Rich Dad Poor Dad? Okay.
So I really like Best in Class Asset. I think it's called Best in Class.
Yeah,
it's called Best in Class
Gary
by Gary Lipsky.
Yeah.
And Kyle. Yeah. Great so it's a great book. If you want to get into asset management and into the active side of real estate,
I have it. I think I have it.
Recommend reading it.
No, I don't have it. It's at home.
I think there's tons of valuable, especially if you've never done it before, it'll kind of tell you what it is, what asset management is. Yeah.
Yep. It's a good one. And then, back to our other conversation. That was a fire round, but I always mess this up. So back to our other conversation. You can go invest, 15 books, get that book on, Amazon, read it, and then you can decide, is this something I want to get into? And go into the asset management side. Cause again, it's not easy money. It's definitely hard work. Definitely takes a lot of discipline and
it's not passive.
Yeah, it's not passive, and it's a lot of problem solving every day. So a lot of people just don't have the either the time or the intestinal fortitude to deal with crazy things that happen. So definitely I would go, even if you are an LP or if you're not sure, get that book. Because one, if you are an asset manager, it's going to make you better, and two, if you're not, it'll at least give you what the real deal is. It's kind of like that Syndication's a Bitch book by Bruce Peterson.
I haven't read that one.
So write that down. Bruce Peterson, it's called Syndication's a Bitch. And it's like the down and dirty, like this is the stuff that, the gurus aren't telling you. And it's just it's a good book about the asset management side, about, the real deal. And
there's a lot of motivational stuff out there, which is fine, which is great. Right. Yeah. But you also have to get the realistic ones.
Yeah. Like, and we just closed on a property. I say just closed. It was like May, and literally like we closed and like SWAT team shows up that night, and they're like, "What the hell?" Drug bust, ripping people out.
Oh man!
And I'm like, "Oh my god!" So
what did we do? What did we do?
And it's and that's just like a Tuesday, right? After we got 9 deals going on and 500 something units. So it's like that stuff doesn't even, like, I'm so desensitized to that kind of stuff now. You just work through. It's just another problem to solve and to get through and keep keep focused on the business plan.
Right.
But anyway, okay. So what is your superpower?
It's odd that this is my superpower, but I would say networking. And it's odd because I'm a very introverted person, but networking is definitely it. I just have found my way to network. So yeah, that's my answer.
It's important. Yeah. You said that's kind of how you got started, right? You bought the duplex, started networking with these guys and just built, a bunch of houses, right? With 100,000 square feet of single family homes, all starting from just networking and asking how you can help. What is the biggest lesson you've learned?
So have patience. In this industry, you have to have patience. You have to stay on track because you're going to have a lot of setbacks, and you're going to need both patience and stay on track to survive those setbacks.
Yep. Yeah. That the patience is huge, and it kind of goes hand in hand with that kind of intestinal fortitude. And I think for me, it's like, I used to be in like the put out fire mode, like anything that happens is okay, put out that fire right away. And now I'm kind of like, I'm a lot more hesitant on making decisions really fast. And I kind of just just be patient, think about it, and then, think about all the different pros and cons, and then make a decision. And I'm finding my success rate of making right decisions and redirecting the ship a lot better by just taking a moment, thinking through something, having the patience, and thinking, 3-4 steps ahead rather than just, that crazy kind of put out fire, running around crazy. So I just got to put out, I have 1,000 problems today and just putting off fire so you're not thinking problems through. So having patience is very, very important. All right. And for the busy working professional who's working toward financial freedom, what advice do you have for them other than the ones you said?
So if it depends, right? So if what they're looking to do is get active in real estate, my advice is get educated, read, understand what you're getting into. This is not easy. This is not something. I mean, can you do it on the side? Some people can. I think it's very hard. So my advice would be that to just educate yourself, understand what you're getting into, and take it one step at a time. I mean, don't rush into it. Don't try to do too much because you're going to get burned out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can speak from experience on that one of burning myself out. Working a full-time W-2 and then trying to run a company or launch a company and run it, and they for the first year it wasn't bad. And then we got, we had 1 or 2 deals. I'm like, all right, it's not bad. I can do this. And then we had 5 deals, and then we had 9 deals. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm, working 20 hours a day. Like this isn't sustainable.
Right.
Got to go. So I quit the W-2 and focus full time. But yeah, it's, you're right. It's definitely take some time to think, if this is the route you want to go. And there's not like the passive income route, the LP route, like, I've said it multiple times on this show, is like, that's my goal in my career goal is to be a career LP. I just need to have enough capital. And once I get, whatever, 10 mil to deploy, and then I'm just like, all right, here's $100,000, here's 100, and I'm just deploying this capital as an LP. That's my goal in,
that's my goal too. I agree 100% with that. That's my goal too. I want to get back to that LP. I'm not near that yet, but yeah. Right. But just that's the true passive.
Yeah, exactly. The GP is definitely helping shorten in that curve. Right. Tons of experience, tons of good stories to talk about whenever I get to networking events, but it's a blast. I love it. But yeah, my long-term vision is to be a career LP at the end of this. So
plus you're going to be a great LP if you were a GP for so long, right? Because you're going to, you're going to understand what you're investing in.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Any last comments? How can people get a hold of you and reach out to you?
So you can email me. My company is Equity with an I at the end. That's for international. So it's Equity, EQUITI Partners. So you can either go to my website, equitypartners.com, EQUITI partners.com. You can email me directly with B Pierson, which is BPIERSON at equitypartners.com. I'm in Facebook, LinkedIn, all the social media channels. You can reach out for me there, look me up, and I'll be glad to connect.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on the show, and super excited to see, how you crush 2022.
Awesome. Thanks, man. This was great. It was a lot of fun.
Yep. All right. That was an awesome show with Bernard. Definitely dropping some huge nuggets there. I love the ask your ask your way to success. One of the things we joked about on after we stopped recording was he put an asterisk on that. It was like, don't ask too early. Don't go up to strangers, at networking events or meetups, stuff like that, and be like, hey, can I be your asset manager or your COO? Definitely work on building rapport. He said a superpower was networking. So definitely work on building your relationships with people, especially the ones that are at a level in this game that you want to be. So start taking them out to lunch, start providing value in small ways and build that rapport, build your, show them what skills you have and what you can bring to the table, and then work your way into asking your way into, some of these deals. Like where are you, you talking to them, what value can I bring to your team? Where are you guys needing help on the team or getting deals done or whatever it is? Just work on building that rapport first, then get to that level. That was kind of, like I said, the asterisk he put on after we jumped off. So definitely some awesome advice. Even in the after call, he's still dropping nuggets for us. So I just want to weave that in there real quick, and definitely find your competitive advantage. He started in the single family stuff, was looking at what value he brought to the team or what value he can bring to his company. Saw he had a lot of connections, both language wise, culture wise, building rapport a lot faster. And he was able to kind of capitalize on that strength that he had and help grow his business, help propel his business to the next level. So find your competitive advantage is absolutely critical to help shorten your curve to success. All right. So if you found value in this show, please share it with your friends, your family, coworkers. We're trying to grow this podcast. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on, I don't know, all the other ones, Stitcher, I think. Wherever the podcasts are, like it, share it, subscribe, and definitely we appreciate that. We're trying to grow our business, extend our reach of this show. If you're interested in investing with us, go to tricityequity.com, reach out, set up a call with me or any of my partners, Duke, Steve, Matt, and we'll show you what Tri-City does, what our business plan is, what markets we're in, what our strategies are, what our track record is. Definitely reach out. We're interested in partnering with you and having you on our team and start building out, even if it's just helping, right? We're here to help. Even if you have some questions about anything, where to get started, just reach out to us and we'll jump on a call and give you some pointers, some tips on how to get your company off the ground. And also big news is our Hawaii Millionaire Mindset Conference. We're going to beat this drum all the way until 2022, July 21st of 2022. It's a huge conference we're having. Tri-City is co-sponsoring this conference with our partners, Bandit Brothers. And it's going to be a huge event. We're going to give you the blueprint of how to invest in commercial multifamily, start to finish, everything we know during one day, bringing in vendors, bringing in subject matter experts that we actually use on our teams for our deals, things like cost seg, lenders, utility solution vendors, and SEC attorneys, things like that. Everything we have, we're bringing. And then the second day is going to be our partner, Bandit Brothers, led by Duran. He works in the franchise world there. So he's going to talk about growing and scaling businesses, buying a business, buying a system, and scaling the crap out of it. And then we're going to put it all together in a magical soup of business ownership, of scaling franchises, multifamily commercial real estate, how they are related, how we can do them both together, and just propel you and your company to the next level, to the stratosphere, which is what we're experiencing here in Tri-City and Bandit Brothers. So we're laying it all out there. So definitely come check it out. Hawaii Millionaire Mindset Conference. The Blueprint is what it's called, and it's going to be on Oahu, Hawaii, July 21st, 24th. And you can check it out at millionairesmindsetblueprint.com. All right. See you next time.